hope you guys are having a good day. I'm here at the Bible study. I'm going to read two short stories first. The first one is by Alice Corber from Pennsylvania. It is called My Dear White Deer. Out in the yard trimming a tree, I thought Fred should see me now. We'd been married almost 50 years when lung cancer took him from me. In the 4 months since I had wondered every day how I'd go on alone without him by my side, I threw some clippings into a pile and felt a presence behind me. A deer stood stock still, staring at me from 3 yards away. I'd never seen such a noble-looking animal before. She was almost entirely white, except for a bit of brown on her forehead. But not just white, immaculately white. Her coat was so clean, so impossibly pristine, like something from another world. I took a small step closer, half wondering if this deer was real or some kind of divine vision. The deer held her ground. She didn't get spooked by my movement. She didn't run like a regular deer would. But then again, there was nothing at all that was regular about this deer. She watched me until I finished my job and went back inside. The next afternoon, my strange visitor returned. And the next, there wasn't a day in over 2 months that I didn't see her. I came to rely on the sighting. A strength of peacefulness seemed to radiate from her and penetrate my aching heart. I wasn't alone. I wasn't without God. I wasn't really without Fred, even. She doesn't go into anyone else's yard but yours, a neighbor mentioned one day. And eventually the white deer stopped coming to my yard too, but not before I'd gotten the message of her comforting presence. That was God helping her through her husband's passing to let her know he was okay. Okay, and the second one is by Joan Bird from North Carolina, and it is called Horse Sense. I want to believe in angels, my husband said, but I would have to see them with my own eyes. Angels were all around us. How could Ray not sense their presence here, especially? We were on a long walk in Trianglewood Park, on a bridle path that led to a pasture. We just passed 10 horses grazing behind the fence. The sun was out, highlighting the collar of their manes. We were surrounded by beauty, until 2 mangy-looking dogs meandered out of the wooded trail. They were big, off-leash, and on their own. Clearly they were wild. Ray and I froze. When they spotted us, the dogs hunched down, with their low growls terrified me. The growls turned into loud barks. There was no one else around. I closed my eyes and prayed, Lord, we could use some of those angels right about now. I opened my eyes and looked around in panic. Behind me, the horses stopped grazing and lifted their heads. One by one, they galloped over to the fence. All 10 lined up in a neat row right behind Ray and me, like an elite team of bodyguards. The dogs whimpered and cowered, tails tucked behind their legs. They ran off. The horses slowly went back to grazing. I turned to Ray to tell him that he finally had proof of angels. Those horses, I said. I know, he said. I saw with my own eyes. They don't just do that, you know. God had them protect them. We're about done with this one too. Okay, guys. The reading today is kind of long. This letting you guys know it's kind of long today. It is by Sharon, and the Bible verse she picked out is Matthew 13:22. The seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. And now I'll go to Matthew 13 and read all of it. So like I said, it's a little long, and then we'll come back to the devotion. And hopefully we'll have time to do the animal devotion as well. Am I done? I done flipped to tomorrow's. I gotta flip back, I'm sorry. Let me get there, okay. That same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat by the lake. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat in it, while all the people stood on the shore. Then he had them people stood on the shore. Then he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places, where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly, because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. He who has ears, let them hear. The disciples came to him and asked, why do you speak to the people in parables? Jesus replied, the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. Whoever has will be given more, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken from them. This is why I speak to them in parables. Though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand. In them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. You will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. For this people's hearts has become callous. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them. Now this is like referring to people, not just the teachers of the law, but like the teachers of the law, people like that, who Jesus is there. The Son of God is right there with them on earth, and he's teaching them things. He's teaching them the way they're supposed to go, but they don't want to listen. They don't even want to believe he's the Son of God, or even a prophet. They want to believe he's just nobody, and they want to kill him, get rid of him. And they're not happy till they do. But did they really kill him? Not really, if you think about it. They did, but then he was raised from the dead. So they did kill him. They didn't want to listen so much that they put him to death. But he was the Son of God, so he rose on the third day, just like he said. But blessed are your eyes, he told his disciples, because they see, and your ears, because they hear. For I tell you the truth, many prophets and righteous men longed to see what you see, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. Listen then to what the parable of the sower means. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is the seed sown along the path. The one who received the seed that fell on rocky places is the man who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since he has no root, he lasts only a short time. When trouble and persecution comes because of the word, he quickly falls away. The one who received the seed that fell among the thorns is the man who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke it, making it unfruitful. But the one who received the seed that fell on good soil is the man who hears the word and understands it. He produces a crop yielding 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed heads, then the weeds also appeared. The owner's servants came to him and said, "Sir, didn't you sow seed, good seed, in your field? Where then did the weeds come from?" "An enemy did this," he replied. The servants asked him, "Do you want us to go and pull them up?" "No," he answered, "because while you are pulling the weeds, you may root up the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time I will tell the harvesters." Now listen to this, because this is telling, like what it'll be like in the end times. The weeds being the bad people, the ones who are not saved, and the wheat, the good, the people that are saved. "First collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn." Like Jesus into my barn, into the kingdom of heaven. The wheat will go, but the weeds will be gathered up and thrown into hell in the fiery furnace. He told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, teeny tiny, which a man took and planted in his field, though it is the smallest of all your seeds. Yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and perch in its branches. He told them still another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into a large amount of flour until it worked all through the dough. Jesus spoke all these things to the crowd in parables. He did not say anything to them without using a parable. So was fulfilled what was spoken through the prophet. "I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things hidden since the creation of the world." Now listen. The parable of the weeds will be explained now. Then he left the crowd and went into the house. His disciples came to him and said, "Explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field." He answered, "The one who sowed the good seed is the Son of Man," Jesus. "The field is the world, and the good seed stands for the sons of the kingdom," people who are saved. "The weeds are the sons of the evil one," on the devil's side, of the ones who are not saved, right? "The weeds are the sons of the evil one, and the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the harvesters are angels." When the angels come back to take God's people. "And the weeds are pulled up and burned in the fire. So it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out all of his kingdom, everything that causes sin, and all who do evil. They will throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears, let him hear." The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. Once again, The kingdom of heaven is like a net that was let down into the lake and caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, the fishermen pulled it up on the shore. Then they sat down and collected the good fish in baskets, but threw the bad away. This is how it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you understood all these things? Jesus asked. Yes, they replied. He said to them, therefore, every teacher of the law who has been instructed about the kingdom of heaven is like the owner of a house who brings out of his storeroom new treasures as well as old. When Jesus had finished these parables, he moved on from there. Coming to his hometown, he began teaching the people in their synagogue, and they were amazed. Until, where did this man get this wisdom and these miraculous powers, they asked. Isn't this the carpenter's son? Isn't his mother Mary? And aren't his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Not Judas Iscariot. Aren't all his sisters with us? Where then did this man get all these things? And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, only in his hometown and in his own house is a prophet without honor. And he did not do many miracles there because of their lack of faith. And that is all of Matthew 13. All right. Okay, now let's go to Sharon's devotion. See what she says. She says, years ago, my husband and I put in landscape beds in our backyard. We used a wood chip mulch around the bushes and perennials, but in no time the beds were overrun with creeping Charlie, stinging nettle, and other weeds. These threatened to choke all the plants we wanted to thrive. Jesus offers clues to the source of thorns that choke my spiritual life. He plants the seed of his kingdom in my heart, but if I'm not mindful, then anxiety about the day-to-day cares of life and belief in the false promises of wealth can hinder healthy growth. The cares of the world might include seeking approval from others, fear about the future turmoil in relationships, any place where I'm not trusting Jesus. The hunger for wealth can show up as lack of contentment or gratitude, and as envy for what others have, their tangible possessions, but also their career, success, or popularity. My hubby and I begun to put a fabric weed barrier in our garden beds. Water can get through, but it holds back weeds from sprouting. Just as Jesus gives me clues about the weeds that endanger me, he also gives me clues about how to lay down a landscape barrier. I can daily turn my cares over to him. I can cover the fertile soil of my heart with gratitude. Faith, trust, joy, and love will smother the pesky seeds of thorns and allow me to produce fruit for Jesus. Fruit being what? Your works, whether good or bad. A person will be known by their fruits. A good person produces good fruit, which means they do good things. And a bad person produces bad fruit, which means they do bad things. A good person cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad person cannot produce good fruit, because you can't be both good and bad. Especially when, you're saved, you're a Christian. And if you're on the devil's side, you're not going to do good. If you're on God's side, you're not going to do bad. Okay, and Sharon's homework for you. Draw a picture of a weed and label it with whatever spiritual issue you're struggling with. Ask Jesus to create a barrier of trust and gratitude that will smother spiritual thorns. All right. And that was our devotion. Do we got time for the animal devotion? Can you get? You do something for me tonight? Devotion. Down there, forgot last night. Please. I got it. I can do it. Okay, check and see if
It's 20, 32, 33, 44,
it's 24.
20,
Okay, I'll try.
40.
Okay, guys, let's try to get the animal devotion. Everybody pick their animal. Sure.
Dog.
This one's by Deb Kastner. Bible verse, John 13:35. By this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. And the title is called Belly Hugs. Wells have always enchanted me. If I find a new documentary on any whale species, you can bet I'm glued to the television, watching in awe as I learn something new about what are some of my favorite of all God's creatures. The largest and, to me, most amazing of all the members of the animal kingdom. One of the most fascinating methods marine biologists use to learn more about whale families is to use the use of drones, which allow humans to see how whales interact with each other without interrupting them. To watch them naturally and joyfully intermingle and play with each other is nothing short of amazing. Sperm whales in particular have captured my heart because of the way they sometimes swim belly to belly, essentially giving each other belly hugs. And it isn't just the young and their mothers either. Other relatives and friends find comfort in this intimate and loving way of swimming together. Essentially, this is the way they comfort their family, friends, and neighbors. Considering the sperm whale's belly hugs makes me think about ways I can reach out to those God has put in my own path. Family, extended family, neighbors, those who know me only through my writing, my church family, and even people on social media. As Jesus' disciple, I am called to show his love to others. What difference can I make in their lives today? And it says, Lord, I'm so grateful for all the people you've put in my life, from my family to those who I only know by name. I pray that you will show me how to give virtual belly hugs to those who need it today. Amen. And here's my rendition, I guess, of a whale, two whales giving a belly hug. I hope you can see that. Time. We can go now. See if you can see this. Make sure you guys can see this here. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the Bible study. Let's bring those souls to Jesus, and God willing, we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another Bible study. Bye, guys. God bless.